Okay, this is IM1. This is lesson 5-1, and we're doing the second part of the homework problems. So I'm doing the odd ones for you so that you kind of get an idea of how to do them. So the question is, evaluate each expression for when A equals -4, B equals 3, and C equals 2. All right, so we have 3a to the -1. So if we want, we can actually set that up first so that we put this. Remember that if it has a negative exponent, it needs to go on the other side of the fraction. So that's going to be 3 over a. A is -4, so we're going to have 3 over -4. And that's going to be our answer because 3/4 is a decent answer. Okay, let's go to the next one. We have 4a squared, b to the -2, c to the third. So we're going to go ahead and switch this one because it has the negative exponent to the other side of the fraction. So if I rewrote that, that would be 4a squared c to the third all over b squared. And then let's go ahead and replace them. So we have 4 squared times 2 to the third all over b is 3. So b squared is 3 squared. And since I'm not doing the even ones, I'm just going to use some of the space over here. Actually, I'll just use a separate sheet of paper. So I'll just use a separate sheet of paper so that you can keep track of what I'm doing. So this is 23. So we have 4 squared is 16. A negative times a negative is a positive. So we're going to have 4 times 16. 2 to the third is 8, so that's times 8, and 3 squared is all over 9. I'm just going to grab my calculator, and I'm going to do that on the calculator. 4 times 16 times 8 is 512, and we're going to divide it by 9, so that's going to be 56.888. 56.88. All right, and so I'll just write that as my answer right here, 56.88, and that's my answer. And if you wanted to turn it into a fraction, you could do that too. It would be, I believe, 8/9. All right, we have negative a to the -2, so that's going to be -1 times 1 over a squared. A is -4, -4 squared is 16, so that's going to end up being -1 over 16. There's a negative in front of that. It's kind of blurry in the picture, but negative in front of that, and that's 16, 1 over 16. All right, 27 says, write each number as a power of 10 using negative exponents. All right, so this is 10. You can count the zeros if you've forgotten, so that's the same as 1 over 10 to the third. And if we want to make a negative exponent, we just put it on the other side. So we have 10 to the -3. All right, so that's 27. You can figure out 28. Write each expression as a decimal. All right, so this is 1 over 10 to the third, which equals 1 over 1,000. If you can't remember what that looks like as a decimal, you put the numerator on top, you divide it by the denominator, and there's our decimal. So it would be 1/1000th, 0.001. Let's look at 31. The number of people who vote early doubles each week leading up to the elections. This week, 1,200 people voted early. The expression 1,200 times 2 to the W models the number of people who will vote early W weeks after this week. Evaluate the expression for W equals -3. So we're going backwards in time. Describe what the value of the expression represents. So -3 would be 3 weeks before this moment, right? So we know that. If I'm going to do the math for you so that you know what to do, 12 times 2 to the -3, which equals 1,200 over 8. Remember that 2 to the third is 8, and I'm going to put it in the fraction. If you don't know what that is, grab your calculator. 1,200 divided by 8, 150. So 3 weeks ago, 150 people voted. 3 weeks before, 150 people voted. Great, that's an even one. You can figure that one out. The last one, choose a fraction to use as the value for the variable c. Find the values of c to the, excuse me, c to the -1, c to the -3, and c to the third. Let's use 1/2. 1/2 to the -1, 1/2 to the -3, and 1/2 to the third. All right, what happens is we're going to actually apply the variable to both. So you're going to end up with 1 to the -1 over 2 to the -1. When we have negatives, we can actually flip it over. So it's going to equal 2. If you don't believe me, 1/2 is an easy number to put on your calculator. We can use to the power of 1 negative. What's the answer equal? 2. So what it does to fractions is it actually flips it over. So we have 1 to the -3 over 2 to the -3. That's going to be equal to, flip both of these onto the other side of the fraction line, 2 to the third over 1 to the third, which equals 8. Don't believe me? Let's prove it. 0.5 raised to the power of 3 negative equals 8. All right, what about 2 to the third? Well, we don't have any reason to flip them over. They're both going to get that. This is going to end up being 1 over 8, or 1/8.